Welcome to another episode of Show Me the Firo. We've got a lot to talk about today. I'm joined by Lucas, our community manager. Hey, Lucas. And, of course, our project steward, Reuben. One of the things we're going to be talking about is Elysium, which is very close to release, Spats, the Spark Audit, which is funded, and Reuben's project, Firo Foxes, which I'm very much looking forward to. As Reuben was telling me earlier, Firo is not really exposed to the FTX scandal, apart from $1,000 approximately, so we should be largely unaffected by that. And as we always say, not your keys, not your crypto, so it's probably not a good idea to leave your coins on exchanges, as too many people have found out. And also there is the risk of, even if you think your exchange is reputable, and it may be, there is also the risk right now of contagion of one exchange obviously having a liquidity crisis affecting another exchange, because there is talk about of inter-exchange lending, which is really creating like the Lehman moment of crypto. And but right now we've got a lot going on with Firo, and for all the right reasons, because the development is coming along nicely. Elysium is Firo's tokenization layer. Reuben, if you just want to give a quick overview, and then we'll go from there.
So, Firo has traditionally always just been a privacy coin. Basically, we are coin, we have private transactions, and all our work has been, about building like privacy protocols that further that, right? And Elysium is kind of a first step into building like a larger ecosystem, and also kind of like a privacy as a service. And in a way is that instead of having another person building another privacy coin and stuff, and all you want to do is just, have a token that has privacy features, instead of rolling out your own or relying on some, really hacky smart contract workaround. The best way to do it is actually you can create it on Elysium, which is basically allowing to create your own tokens on this tokenization layer that enjoys all the same privacy benefits as Firo. So it's using currently the Lelantus technology. We do have some very exciting projects that are looking at building into it, but the first one that's already confirmed is the Oracle people, who actually are building a stablecoin bridge from Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and a bunch of other chains as well, which would allow stablecoins to be basically anonymized on our chain. We have this is a complete third party. We don't have any relations to Oracle, and we welcome anyone building. But people might ask, what else could be done on Elysium, right? And this is basically limited by your imagination, right? You could build your own dog tokens. You could build a voting token, right? And that is like verifiable but anonymous voting. So that's a really cool use case. You could also use it to, proof of attendance, right? All sorts of things you can actually really build on it, and we would really like to see what the community comes up with. And Lucas and Diego actually recently hosted an open house. Lucas, do you want to talk a little bit about that, and maybe what are plans for events like that in the future?
Yeah, so the Elysium open house, Diego and I were just showcasing how you can how to get started with Elysium, because it's not as simple as just downloading the new wallet and you're ready to go. You do have to select the option under settings with the Electron wallet for Elysium, and then showcasing how to be able to make tokens on the Elysium layer, which once the tab is set up to go, that's pretty straightforward. It's kind of self-explanatory. And so we were just sharing testnet tokens to people in the community and showcasing just what it was capable of. We want to see about doing it again in the future, a little bit more professional.
And where do people go to see this, Lucas?
At the moment, we didn't record this last session. I did record something afterwards, showcasing it a little bit, so anybody can reach out to me and ask for the recording, and I'll send it to them. I've already sent it to 2 other community members who had previously, before the event, asked for a recording. But we didn't record that event or anything along those lines. We just we're kind of on a spur of the moment with even though like obviously it was prepared beforehand, but at the time during the event, we were just doing it on fly, and nothing was prepared beforehand or anything like that. Just wanted to have fun with the community. And so we were aiming to repeat this in the future, along with potentially, well, not potentially, a Firo Dex event. And so seeing about trying to get something all set up with the community for the Firo Dex, which is why I've been asking about what day works for everybody, what time slot works for everybody. And so the next one is aiming to be the Firo Dex and having an event surrounding that with the community.
With the Firo Dex, this is how we are able to use a decentralized exchange to bridge into Elysium, right?
It's technically possible for Firo Dex to support that. It is not currently on our roadmap just because, we're busy doing Spark and other stuff. And Firo Dex is kind of like, working together with Atomic Dex. But there are going to be some options to do that. But I guess the main reason what we're trying to do is we will have some DEX options for Elysium and see how that goes. But right now, we just want to see people using it as to create tokens for whatever, right? And I would kind of like to caution that what does it mean when Elysium is in release candidate status? And what release candidate status is basically it's ready for prime time, but we're not officially releasing it yet, just as a final, let the public see and identify any bugs that we might have missed. So far, we haven't had any, huge problems with it. But we're just waiting for the right time to announce this, given the whole situation. We're not in an absolute rush for it, but it is fully ready that you can use today right on our mainnet, or if you want on testnet as well. One thing that I would kind of like to just quickly touch on is that unlike some other projects that do have some sort of privacy assets, which is already quite rare, our assets, there's two functions. You can have it either as managed or unmanaged. And you see this when you actually just click through the options. And what it does is that when it's managed, basically that means the person who creates that asset has the ability to create more tokens to grant to any other address. And people might say, why would you want something like this? But if you're building something like a stable coin, right, when new US dollar comes, you have to have that ability to grant new tokens. But if you're creating a meme token or voting token or whatever, you can just take away that ability, or don't even have that ability being able to be created in the first place, so that you can create just a fixed supply token. Yeah, that's right. And you can go and download it. If you go to our GitHub or our blog post, there's a link to where to download it, the Elysium release candidate. And it's currently in the Electron wallet, not Electrum, Electron wallet. We really need a new name for that, but yeah.
I get confused with those as well. It's Electron, it sound like almost identical. But what I think this is a big deal to me. Like when I first heard about it, I was really excited by it because, first of all, you get all the benefits of Lelantus in fast, cheap transactions for other tokens. And not only that, but it just raises the use case and the awareness for Firo, because not only now are we just competing for market share with other coins, now other coins can actually use our services and benefit from Firo. So it kind of warms the water for people that hold maybe other coins to start using Firo and kind of dip their toe in. And I'm sure, after some period of time, they're going to get to the point where they see the value and they see, the prospect in what Firo has to offer going forward, in which case they can obviously make their own decisions. But to me, that makes Firo a very attractive project.
One of the other good things is that it also creates more utility for the Firo token itself, because any transactions on Elysium consumes Firo. And unlike in Ethereum, whereby, for example, if you do any sort of transactions, you always see who is paying the fee, right? But because we have Lelantus technology, right, the fee is paid in Firo, but there's no identifiable source. So the privacy is preserved, even though it's an asset layer on top of Firo. Like, with Ethereum or any other sort of smart contract chain, when you do a transaction, it says like fee is paid in X amount, the number of Ethereum or BNB or whatnot. Here, yes, it's paid, but then there's no identifiable source. So that's a huge benefit for us. Yeah.
Yeah, very eloquent, actually, way of doing it. Which brings us on to our next topic, which is Spats, which is really building on top of Elysium 1.0. So, Reuben, would you like to explain to us what Spats are? Because that's another great addition.
It's a very, very big upgrade. So we'll probably talk a bit about it more. But, for those of you who have been following Firo, one of the the biggest thing that we're all waiting for is basically Lelantus Spark, which is the new version of Lelantus, right? Which totally hides amounts, gives you address, like a reusable address that's not searchable on the blockchain. So that means you can share this address out without anyone tying it to your activity. So it's kind of like an email address. So that's really, really powerful. What Spats is basically bringing that technology to Elysium, right? So Elysium is currently using Lelantus, but Spats is Spark Assets. Basically, we're bringing Spark technology into the Elysium ecosystem. And what it does is really, really powerful, because right now in Elysium, you still have to click a button and anonymize your tokens. This completely removes that requirement, right? You can just send directly to each other. Amounts are totally hidden, so that's really good. And the best thing is that the asset type is hidden. So what that means is that you don't even know the asset that you're transferring, right? So for example, in Tornado Cash, right, you can see that, it's DAI that's going in, it's USDC that's going in, that's USDT is going in. And what that means is that, even if you hide sender, receiver, and amount, you can still see the asset that is being transferred. And that can be a problem, especially when the assets are not very active, right? So that means there's only a couple of people depositing in DAI. That really reduces the anonymity set for everything. But with Spark Assets, because all assets are actually indistinguishable from each other, so a stable coin transfer can look the same as a voting coin transfer or a dog coin transfer. No one can see what it is. It's just it's just something has happened, right? And our first version of Spats, as in this is the paper, we actually we had a slight, I guess, a drawback whereby Firo was in its own kind of anonymity pool, and Spark Assets all shared another anonymity pool. That means that they were kind of separate, right? But we just, in the past 1 month or so, we've actually updated the Spark protocol, the Spats protocol, to mean that means Firo is treated also like a Spark asset. So that means a Firo transfer looks like a Spark asset transfer, is indistinguishable. So this transfer is is someone using Spats or is someone using Firo? It's indistinguishable, and that is really, really powerful. I think that's really a game changer, because it means that anyone that's using Spats or Firo is improving the anonymity set of not just that asset, but the entire ecosystem. So I think that's really a game changer. Yeah.
So as I understand it, Reuben, as I think you just described, is really instead of having separate anonymity pools, we just have one big anonymity pool, right?
That's right.
So if you have a smaller asset that barely gets any transactions, it just adds to the bigger pools, right? So it's just one giant pool. And one thing with Helsing, Reuben, where we can get paid out when we have private payments for our nodes.
It's private staking.
Yeah, basically Masternodes for Masternodes. You can hold your Masternode collateral in Spark addresses. That's we have the protocol, and that's all already. We are still kind of thinking about the future of Firo's consensus mechanism, whether we should be sticking to the Masternode thing, or should we be using, I guess, the newer consensus models. I mean, I wouldn't say The Masternode model right now, with a combination of proof of work and Masternodes, has served us well, and it's quite a decent protocol. But one of the things that I am personally a bit wish that we can improve on is the requirement for like a fixed IP address that you need to broadcast and stuff like that. And being a privacy coin, even if you hold your collateral in like a masternode, there still needs to be this IP address that's kind of fixed and static, right? And ideally, we want to remove reliance on that. So we, of course, looking at other types of mechanisms so that, people can run it from their home or something like that. But this is still kind of early stage. We have a lot of stuff that we need to do. Helsing would allow masternode collateral to be kind of semi-anonymously in a Spark address, but the only difference is that you still have to show that there is a 1,000 Firo that is backing it. So that's why I say semi-private. It is still very private. It's just that you need to know that 1,000 Firo is sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah. And but what I was also thinking is also all those transactions, all those payouts, just add to the anonymity set, right? So there's, no matter what time, you're just building an anonymity set continually as the blockchain rolls onto a next block.
Yep. Our plan right now is to have all mining rewards go directly into Spark addresses at the protocol. That means why we want to do this is so that, right now miners aren't the most engaged of our community members. Some, of course, we do have some. There's, exceptions that there are, but by and large, we've seen many miners just mining directly to exchanges. And what we kind of want is like, hey, we want, the purpose of mining is distribution, and we want them to be like, kind of like fall in love with Firo, right? And one way to do it is to force them to use our product, right? And the way to do it is like, well, if exchanges won't support Spark addresses right now, now they are forced to download our wallet, use it out, set it up, use our privacy features. And yeah, they can still send it out to an exchange and sell and whatnot, but now they have to use our wallet unless an exchange supports Spark addresses. So I think that's a good move forward. For Masternode rewards, we won't immediately be doing that mainly because the Masternode system is pretty complex and we have to change a lot of stuff. But the intention is that all the mining stuff would go into Spark addresses and automatically increase the anonymity set every block. Yeah. One
of the benefits I will say regarding just for the average user who sets up a masternode is, unlike when you're loaning your coins out to on a smart contract or to another exchange or something, it seems like there's less risk if you essentially maintain possession of the coins right within your node. So with Firo, you maintain possession of the coins, you're not sending them to somebody else's wallet. And I always think that seems like a far more secure way to try and earn, I guess, a yield. So especially as what we're seeing recently, that is a more, I guess, secure and for me more attractive method of trying to gain yields. So
yeah, and it's also it's not exposed. So that means like your coins itself don't have to sit on a hot wallet. They can be stored in a cold wallet storage, and that's one of the beauty of it being basically like, yeah, even your computer is hacked or your Masternode VPS is hacked, your coins are still safe because it's not linked to your private key. So I think that's really powerful as well. Of course, a very quick a caution. There are people that have less than the requisite 1,000 Firo, and instead of building a masternode, they maybe use a service like iNodes or EvoNodes, and what they basically do is send their Firo to these providers, who then create masternodes and pull them together. First of all, so far so good, but remember, not your keys, not your coins. if you have like, some spare Firo lying around that you just, don't mind and taking that risk and earning some small yield on it, great. Yeah. But, I would recommend if you have enough to build your masternode, or it's money that you don't want to trust to other people, build your own masternode or don't stake it at all. So yeah, just a very quick reminder.
And just to kind of explain to I just pretend like I'm 5 years old, because some people, like when I first got into Firo, I had no idea how to set up a node. It was like really confusing to me. It was like, hang on, am I sending my coins anywhere else? Like at my wallet. So basically all you do is you have your coins in your wallet, you send 1,000 coins to your wallet address. And then what you have to do is the easiest way is to go to allnodes.com and follow their instructions. And all you do is on your wallet is you just sign a message to say that you own these coins, and you create your node. You can do it in about 5-10 minutes. It's a real simple process. Okay, so moving on, the Spark audit. How are we going with that, Reuben?
I think we're about 2 weeks plus in. So far, it's going okay. So we engaged. So first of all, a very, 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 very huge thank you to the Firo community, which means thanking Rasik from Arcadia, who gave like a huge portion of the audit funds, to all the individuals that contributed individually to the Firo community fund, and also the audit fund, and also the Firo community fund committee, who agreed to top up the balance to bring to actually have the necessary amount to build this. And it costs 80K. This is all transparent. You can look it up on funding.firo.org. You can see the proposal, where the money is, and all the money right now is in US dollars. Is sitting in a bank account that is managed by this Magic Grants committee, which is totally independent from us. It's actually a registered charity in registered nonprofit in the US that allows us, them to have like a US bank account, to have donors to write it off, not write it off, but have it as a tax deductible.
Tax write-off.
Tax write-off.
Yeah,
right?
tax deductible.
Right. And so
it's like donating to a charity. That's what you were thinking about that, right?
That's right. That's right. Rules. Yeah. Yes. So that's why we were using them. Luckily, none of that was affected by the FTX stuff. So that's all proceeding well and safely. We hope to get the a report in another 2 weeks' time. And after that, there'll be another 2 weeks whereby if there were any findings in the report, they'll be working together with the core team to fix and address them, if any. If there isn't, fine, but if there is any, great, or there are any things that we can improve. So that's going really smoothly, and so far nothing found. But I mean, even if they do find something, that's a good thing. That's what the audit is for. But so far so good.
Real quick question. So is that like a hard set date, or is that something that if there was something found where it needs a little additional tweaking, is it a little bit loosey goosey, or is it just like at that point that's cut, and that's our business after that?
Why we picked Hashcloak was, first of all, Mikera has been someone that has been following our project for quite a while, and her company is focused on privacy technology. So they have a very, very, very good understanding of all this type of things. You can take a look at the credentials and everything they've done. They've actually given us a pretty good discount when you compare them to other audit firms that are charging a lot. And they also did a very, very good job in auditing our Lelantus privacy protocol paper. You could tell that they were really pouring through it. Obviously, audits are not like a guarantee, right? That means it doesn't mean like they will not, but it is still very important. And I feel that we are in good hands, all right? Obviously, no guarantees, but because we've got experience with them, we have experience with other audit firms, and they're doing a good job. Now, back to Lucas' question, is it done and set? I mean, so far we've been like, kind of like we have a good relationship with Hashcloak. Obviously, if he needs more time, I think it's within reason, right? If it's going to take another 1 month or so, there probably would be additional charges or something like that, right? But if it's just like, a small little thing there, I don't think they'll, I believe that they will continue to support us. There have been talks about, instead of just having it, because audits are kind of like snapshot, right? Like snapshot, and then let's take a look, snapshot, and take it. What happens after that is none of their business, right? And especially when deploying this type of stuff, it actually makes sense if budget is permitting to actually almost have like a audit firm to continuously audit any new pull request that affects critical portions of it. And then there may be a retainer paid. Obviously, right now in the bear market, it doesn't quite make sense. But Hashcloak has proposed that and said this might actually work out to be cheaper in the long run. And it is an option that we are exploring. But maybe right now it's not the right time. Yeah.
Maybe, and I think that is the right approach and philosophy to have, because some kind of like exploit that gets exploited, that could be very expensive, right? So it's kind of like it may seem like it's money out the door, but in the long run, I think I do agree with Hashcloak. It's better to be safe than sorry in some cases, and that would be something I personally would look to propose to the CFC to make a funding for that, because it's that itself is a lot of peace of mind and value to the whole community, knowing that we're kind of going belts and braces in terms of the audits, as opposed to doing, just what's required. We're actually going above that to really secure everybody's assets in funds. So I think
it's also really good because unlike an audit where, we hit them with like months and months and months of work and then you expect them to go through it, at least with this is kind of like seen in like bite-sized portions, like, this, and then they can look at it, and then they've already gotten an understanding of the previous code. So they almost become like familiar with our code, and also can look at things in a more like, like focus here, focus here, focus there. So I hope that we can do that. Obviously, right now, the market, the entire crypto market, not just Firo, is suffering. But when things get better, or, the CFC can help out. Yeah.
It's like the mother of bear markets right now, but just gotta hodl. Hold on for dear life. Alrighty. Next up, Firo Foxes. This is a private project, I believe, by Reuben. And Reuben, if you want to tell us a little bit what this project is about, and when do we get our foxes?
So first of all, Firo Foxes, I mean, it's not meant to be like a serious thing, right? It's just meant to be a bit of fun and a way of showing thanks to the people that have helped Firo, and also a fun way to donate towards the core development fund, right? This is completely funded by me. That there were no Firo core funds used for this. And basically, it's a bunch of NFTs of cute little foxes that are fighting against these machine surveillance monsters. And it's just a profile picture project, right? We probably can take it to become a game and everything, but right now, we are not promising anything. It's just a fun little profile picture project with its own lore, with its own fun and cuteness stuff. And people who donated or contribute to the project in some way would get a Firo Fox. Those would be given for free for those that but there'll be also others where you can mint on the Binance Smart Chain. And because they have the Firo BEP20, which is the wrap version of Firo, and those funds, half of it would go towards the core team fund. 20% of it would go towards the artists. Another 20% goes towards the two programmers, Altcoin Gamer and Steven, who has been working on the website and the smart contracts to enable all of this. And 10% goes to me, just so that I can hopefully recoup a bit of my costs. We're not making huge amounts of money from this. Currently, we plan to have a 0.05 BNB mint fee. I don't know how much that is. It's not a lot of money, basically, for those that who want to contribute to the project. And or like, donate to the community, to the core teams fund, so that we can continue the good work that we do.
Yeah, or people that just want a fox, right?
Yeah, well, people who just want to. No, the artist is actually really nice. Like it looks amazing.
It does look great. It does look great, because I started off like seeing the early revisions, and I was like pushing you. Got to be more kick-ass. Got to be more kick-ass. And then I think I see a fox that's packing heat. Right? There's one of the foxes looks like he's packing heat, and I'm like, oh, that's the one I want.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my fox. That's my fox I'm going to have on the wall behind me.
and we hope that this reaches like a wider audience, right? Because it's already one of the problems with privacy stuff is that, it's boring. It's all very negative. Like, oh yeah, the big brother is coming to control us. Oh, we need privacy to fight and protect our liberties and stuff. I mean, yeah, great. I mean, I totally get that. It's something that I embody, but it is boring and it's depressing to hear it all the time, that privacy is to prevent us from being oppressed. But hey, this Firo Foxes thing is going to make it look like it's fun, right? It's we want our community to have fun. We want people to show off their Firo Foxes and learn a bit more about Firo, because the artist is really, really good. He's actually a recognized artist, a local artist. None of it was generated by AI. It's all done by hand. So yeah, we actually have like 500, 600 different traits. So technically we could have like 10,000 foxes or something like that. We haven't agreed on the exact amount yet. Maybe something between 1,000 or so. But we'll keep you guys posted. You can actually take a preview. I guess you guys will link the link to the preview page. And we can't wait to share that out once it's totally ready. And we hope you guys like it. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think that's about all we have time for this week. If you enjoyed the episode, please like, share, and subscribe, and help feed the algo. Bye-bye.
Yes, please.